The Last Man Standing. The jungle moon of Varian 3 was beautiful. Green light glowed from every tree. Strange flowers pulsed like heartbeats. It looked peaceful. It was a trap. Sergeant Ilas and his team of 12 soldiers landed at dawn. Their mission was simple: watch the Arthi Empire's movements, stay hidden, report back. No fighting, no problems. That plan died in 4 minutes. The Arthi came from everywhere, from the trees, from the ground, from the shadows. Plasma fire lit up the jungle like a storm. Ilas watched his brothers fall, one by one. Thompson, Garcia, Chen, all gone in seconds. He tried to pull Marcus behind a rock, his best friend, his brother since training, but Marcus was already bleeding too much. "Don't stop," Marcus whispered. Blood ran from his mouth. "Don't let them forget us." Then his eyes went empty. Ilas wanted to scream. He wanted to cry, but the Arthi were still coming, so he did the only thing a soldier could do. He ran. For 3 days, Ilas moved like a ghost through the glowing jungle. He had no food, no water, no way to call for help. His extraction ship was destroyed. His communication device was dead. He was completely alone on an alien moon. Most soldiers would hide. Most soldiers would wait for rescue. Most soldiers would pray. Ilas was not most soldiers. On the 4th night, he stopped running. He sat beside a glowing river and looked at his reflection. A broken man stared back, tired, wounded, afraid, but also angry. He thought about Marcus, about Thompson, about all 11 men who trusted him. They came here as soldiers. They died as heroes, and no one would ever know, unless he made the Arthi remember. Ilas stood up. He checked his weapons. 1 rifle with half ammunition, 1 knife with a cracked handle. Not much against an empire, but enough to start a war. He found an Arthi patrol that same night, 5 tall warriors with silver armor. They were searching for him, hunting him like an animal. They never saw him coming. Ilas moved through the darkness without sound. He had studied their patterns, he knew their weaknesses, and he had something they did not expect: nothing left to lose. The first warrior fell before he could scream. The second turned just in time to see Ilas's knife. The third fired his weapon but hit only shadows. By the time the patrol leader called for backup, Ilas was already gone. 5 warriors down, 1 human standing. Word spread through the Arthi ranks like fire. A ghost was hunting them, a phantom who struck without warning and disappeared without trace. They gave him a name: the Mirage. Over the next 2 weeks, Ilas became a legend. He destroyed power stations. He poisoned water supplies. He turned the beautiful jungle into a nightmare for every Arthi soldier. They sent their best hunters. He killed them. They set their best traps. He escaped them. They offered rewards for his capture. No one could find him. And somewhere in the imperial capital, a powerful empress began to hear whispers about a single human who was breaking her army. She did not believe it. Not yet. But soon, High Sovereign Linara Vale would see the truth with her own silver eyes, and nothing in her empire would ever be the same. The Mirage. The Arthi Empire had conquered 200 worlds. Their warriors trained for 300 years before their first battle. They never lost. They never failed. They never knew fear. Until now. General Vorthos stood in the war room with shaking hands. 32 elite soldiers dead, 6 supply stations destroyed, 4 patrol teams missing, and every report said the same impossible thing: 1 human. "This is madness," Sethis hissed. His silver eyes burned with anger. "One weak, soft, fragile human cannot do this." "The evidence does not lie," Vorthos replied quietly. He touched the holographic screen. Red dots appeared across the jungle map. Each dot was a death. Each death was caused by the same creature, the Mirage. Soldiers whispered that name in darkness now. They said he could walk through walls. They said he could disappear into thin air. They said he felt no pain and knew no fear. Some said he was not human at all. But the generals knew the truth was worse. He was human, completely human, and that made everything terrifying. Because if one human could do this, what could a million humans do? Far away in the imperial palace, High Sovereign Linara Vale listened to the reports with growing irritation, her long, luminescent ears pressed flat against her head, a sign of displeasure that made her advisors nervous. "You waste my time with ghost stories," she said coldly. Her voice echoed through the golden throne room. "Humans are clever but weak. I have studied their biology myself. They break easily." "High Sovereign," Vorthos bowed deeply. "I believed the same, but then I watched the recordings." Linara's silver eyes narrowed. "Show me." The lights dimmed, a holographic screen flickered to life, and Linara saw him for the first time. A lone figure running through plasma fire, 20 Arthi warriors shooting at him. He should be dead in seconds, but he kept moving, ducking, rolling, using the jungle like a weapon. He grabbed a fallen branch and jammed it into a warrior's helmet. He kicked another into a trap he had built hours before. He moved without pattern, without logic, without any training her warriors could predict. And when a plasma bolt hit his shoulder, he did not stop. He did not scream. He simply kept fighting. Linara leaned forward on her throne. Her hearts beat faster. "Impossible," she whispered, but her eyes did not look away. She watched him kill 3 more warriors with nothing but a broken knife. She watched him disappear into glowing trees like smoke. She watched her soldiers' faces. Her soldiers, afraid of one human. Something stirred inside Linara, an emotion she had not felt in centuries. Not anger, not disgust, fascination. "What is his name?" she asked softly. "They call him the Mirage, High Sovereign. We do not know his real identity." Linara stood from her throne. Her royal robes flowed like liquid silver. Every advisor in the room held their breath. "Prepare my ship," she commanded. Silence, complete silence. General Vorthos looked up with horror. "High Sovereign, you cannot mean—" "I am going to Varian 3. But the danger—" "I have ruled this empire for 400 years." Linara's voice turned to ice. "I have never seen anything like this creature. I must understand him." She walked toward the door. Her guards scrambled to follow. "And General," she added without turning back, "I want him alive, whatever it costs." Vorthos bowed low, but his hands trembled. He knew what this meant. The most powerful ruler in the galaxy was going to hunt one wounded human soldier. And somehow he felt afraid for her. Not because the human might kill her, but because of what she might become if she met him. The last stand. 19 days. 19 days of running, 19 days of hunting, 19 days of blood and fire and death. Sergeant Ilas knew this was the end. He crouched behind a fallen crystal tree. His breath came in short, painful gasps. 3 broken ribs, a deep wound across his left arm, burn marks on his back from plasma fire. 1 bullet left in his rifle, 1 cracked knife in his belt, and 20 Arthi warriors closing in from every direction. The glowing jungle had been his home for almost 3 weeks. He knew every tree, every shadow, every trick. But tonight They had finally trapped him. No escape routes, no backup plans, no miracles. Just one human against an army. Ilas closed his eyes for a moment. He saw his mother's face. She was cooking breakfast in their small kitchen on Earth. Sunlight came through the window. She smiled at him. "Come home safe," she had said before he left. "I promise," he had answered. He would break that promise tonight. Then he saw Marcus, his best friend, dying in his arms on the first day. Blood everywhere, eyes fading. "Don't let them forget us." Ilas opened his eyes, his jaw tightened, his grip on the knife became steady. No, he would not hide, he would not beg, he would not give them an easy kill. If death wanted him, it would have to earn him. High above the jungle floor, Empress Linara Vale watched through thermal sensors. Her silver eyes tracked the single red dot surrounded by 20 blue ones. "He is trapped," General Vorthus said with satisfaction. "It ends tonight." Linara said nothing. Her eyes never left the screen. She had traveled across the galaxy to see this creature, this impossible human who had humiliated her finest warriors. She expected to find a monster. Instead, she found a wounded soldier with nothing left, and somehow that made him more fascinating. "Move in," Vorthus commanded through his communicator. "Kill him quickly." The blue dots advanced. Ilas heard them coming, heavy footsteps on crystal leaves, the hum of plasma rifles charging, shadows moving between glowing trees. 20 warriors, bred for combat, trained for centuries. One human, tired, broken, afraid, but still standing. The first warrior burst through the trees. Ilas fired his last bullet straight through the helmet. The warrior fell without a sound. Then chaos erupted. Ilas moved like nothing they had ever seen. He grabbed the fallen warrior's blade and slashed at the second attacker. He ducked under plasma fire and drove his knife into a third warrior's neck. They shot him, he kept fighting. They cut him, he kept moving. They broke his arm, he switched hands and fought harder. 4 warriors down, 5, 6, but there were too many, always too many. A massive warrior slammed Ilas to the ground. Others piled on top. Claws pressed against his throat. Blades hovered over his chest. And still Ilas struggled. Still he refused to stop. He bit one warrior's hand. He kicked another's knee. Even pinned by 6 soldiers, he would not surrender. Linara watched with wide eyes. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had lived for 400 years. She had seen countless battles, countless warriors, countless deaths, but she had never seen anything like this. This was not training. This was not technique. This was something deeper, something primal, something her species had forgotten long ago. Pure, unbreakable will. "Finish him," Vorthus ordered. The warriors raised their blades, and Linara spoke one word. "Stop." Every warrior froze. Vorthus spun toward her with shock. "High Sovereign?" "I said stop." Linara's voice was ice and fire. "Take him alive. He killed 32 of our soldiers." Linara stepped forward. Her silver eyes glowed in the darkness. "And he fought with more honor than any warrior I have seen in centuries. He does not die tonight." She looked down at Ilas, broken, bleeding, but still glaring up at his captors with defiance burning in his eyes. Their gazes met. Human and empress, prisoner and ruler, prey and hunter. And Ilas, with blood running down his face, smiled. All you got." Linara's ears tilted forward, her lips curved slightly. Dangerous, unpredictable, magnificent. "Bind his wounds," she commanded softly. "When he wakes, bring him to me." She turned and walked into the shadows. Behind her, Ilas finally closed his eyes. He did not know who had saved him. He did not know why. But somewhere in his fading mind, he heard a voice, soft, powerful, female, and strangely beautiful. The Empress's prisoner. Ilas woke to silence. No gunfire, no screaming, no pain. Wait, no pain? His eyes snapped open. He expected chains. He expected a dark prison cell. He expected torture devices and angry warriors. Instead, he saw gold. Golden walls, golden ceiling, soft silk sheets beneath his body, a window showing stars he did not recognize, and the smell of flowers he had never known existed. His wounds were bandaged, clean white cloth wrapped around his chest, his arm, his shoulder. Someone had healed him. Someone had saved him. But who and why? Ilas tried to sit up. His body screamed in protest, but he forced himself anyway. A soldier never shows weakness, even in a golden cage. "You should rest." The voice came from the shadows, soft, powerful, the same voice from his fading memories. Ilas turned his head, and he saw her. She stepped into the light like a dream made real, tall, elegant, silver eyes that glowed like twin moons, long ears that swept back like blades, skin that shimmered with faint luminescence. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was clearly not human. "Who are you?" Ilas asked. His voice was rough, broken. "I am High Sovereign Linara Vale." She walked closer. Each step was graceful, calculated. "Ruler of the Arthi Empire, commander of 200 worlds." Ilas stared at her, the Empress herself. He almost laughed, almost. "And I am your prisoner." "Yes." Linara stopped beside his bed. She looked down at him with those impossible silver eyes. "You killed 32 of my finest warriors, destroyed 6 military stations, made my generals look like fools." 34, Ilas corrected quietly. 2 more during the last fight. Something flickered across Linara's face. Surprise? Respect? He could not tell. 34, she repeated, with no army, no support, no hope of rescue. "Hope is for people who wait." Ilas met her gaze without flinching. "I prefer action." Silence stretched between them, heavy, electric. Then Linara did something unexpected. She sat down, not on a throne, not on a royal chair. She sat on the edge of his bed, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. "You should rest." The voice came from the shadows, soft, powerful, the same voice from his fading memories. Ilas turned his head, and he saw her. She stepped into the light like a dream made real, tall, elegant, silver eyes that glowed like twin moons, long ears that swept back like blades, skin that shimmered with faint luminescence. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was clearly not human. "Who are you?" Ilas asked. His voice was rough, broken. "I am High Sovereign Linara Vale." She walked closer. Each step was graceful, calculated. "Ruler of the Arthi Empire, commander of 200 worlds." Ilas stared at her, the Empress herself. He almost laughed, almost. "And I am your prisoner." "Yes." Linara stopped beside his bed. She looked down at him with those impossible silver eyes. "You killed 32 of my finest warriors, destroyed 6 military stations, made my generals look like fools." 34, Ilas corrected quietly. 2 more during the last fight. Something flickered across Linara's face. Surprise? Respect? He could not tell. 34, she repeated, with no army, no support, no hope of rescue. "Hope is for people who wait." Ilas met her gaze without flinching. "I prefer action." Silence stretched between them, heavy, electric.
Then Linara did something unexpected. She sat down, not on a throne, not on a royal chair. She sat on the edge of his bed, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. "You should rest." The voice came from the shadows, soft, powerful, the same voice from his fading memories. Ilas turned his head, and he saw her. She stepped into the light like a dream made real, tall, elegant, silver eyes that glowed like twin moons, long ears that swept back like blades, skin that shimmered with faint luminescence. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was clearly not human. "Who are you?" Ilas asked. His voice was rough, broken. "I am High Sovereign Linara Vale." She walked closer. Each step was graceful, calculated. "Ruler of the Arthi Empire, commander of 200 worlds." Ilas stared at her, the Empress herself. He almost laughed, almost. "And I am your prisoner." "Yes." Linara stopped beside his bed. She looked down at him with those impossible silver eyes. "You killed 32 of my finest warriors, destroyed 6 military stations, made my generals look like fools." 34, Ilas corrected quietly. 2 more during the last fight. Something flickered across Linara's face. Surprise? Respect? He could not tell. 34, she repeated, with no army, no support, no hope of rescue. "Hope is for people who wait." Ilas met her gaze without flinching. "I prefer action." Silence stretched between them, heavy, electric. Then Linara did something unexpected. She sat down, not on a throne, not on a royal chair. She sat on the edge of his bed, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. "You should rest." The voice came from the shadows, soft, powerful, the same voice from his fading memories. Ilas turned his head, and he saw her. She stepped into the light like a dream made real, tall, elegant, silver eyes that glowed like twin moons, long ears that swept back like blades, skin that shimmered with faint luminescence. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was clearly not human. "Who are you?" Ilas asked. His voice was rough, broken. "I am High Sovereign Linara Vale." She walked closer. Each step was graceful, calculated. "Ruler of the Arthi Empire, commander of 200 worlds." Ilas stared at her, the Empress herself. He almost laughed, almost. "And I am your prisoner." "Yes." Linara stopped beside his bed. She looked down at him with those impossible silver eyes. "You killed 32 of my finest warriors, destroyed 6 military stations, made my generals look like fools." 34, Ilas corrected quietly. 2 more during the last fight. Something flickered across Linara's face. Surprise? Respect? He could not tell. 34, she repeated, with no army, no support, no hope of rescue. "Hope is for people who wait." Ilas met her gaze without flinching. "I prefer action." Silence stretched between them, heavy, electric. Then Linara did something unexpected. She sat down, not on a throne, not on a royal chair. She sat on the edge of his bed, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. "You should rest." The voice came from the shadows, soft, powerful, the same voice from his fading memories. Ilas turned his head, and he saw her. She stepped into the light like a dream made real, tall, elegant, silver eyes that glowed like twin moons, long ears that swept back like blades, skin that shimmered with faint luminescence. She was terrifying. She was beautiful. She was clearly not human. "Who are you?" Ilas asked. His voice was rough, broken. "I am High Sovereign Linara Vale." She walked closer. Each step was graceful, calculated. "Ruler of the Arthi Empire, commander of 200 worlds." Ilas stared at her, the Empress herself. He almost laughed, almost. "And I am your prisoner." "Yes." Linara stopped beside his bed. She looked down at him with those impossible silver eyes. "You killed 32 of my finest warriors, destroyed 6 military stations, made my generals look like fools." 34, Ilas corrected quietly. 2 more during the last fight. Something flickered across Linara's face. Surprise? Respect? He could not tell. 34, she repeated, with no army, no support, no hope of rescue. Hope is for people who wait. Ilas met her gaze without flinching. I prefer action. Silence stretched between them, heavy, electric. Then Linara did something unexpected. She sat down, not on a throne, not on a royal chair. She sat on the...
Ilas stood in the throne room with chains on his wrists. Guards surrounded him. Generals watched with hatred in their eyes. The entire Arthi court had gathered to witness this moment. But Ilas only saw her. Linara sat on her golden throne, her silver eyes locked onto his. Her face showed nothing. Cold, royal, untouchable. But he remembered her words from last night. I saw myself. He remembered the tremble in her voice, the crack in her mask, the loneliness hiding beneath her power. She was not just an empress tonight. She was a woman making an impossible choice. Sergeant Ilas of Earth, Linara's voice echoed through the silent room. Your people have come for you. They offer peace in exchange for your return. They offer war if we refuse. Ilas said nothing. He waited. My generals advise destruction, Linara continued. They say humans are weak. They say we should crush your fleet and keep you as a trophy of our superiority. Vorthas smiled with cruel satisfaction. But I have learned something these past days. Linara stood slowly. Something my empire forgot long ago. She walked down from her throne, step by step, closer and closer to Ilas. The guards tensed. The generals whispered. She stopped directly in front of him. True strength is not in destroying those who challenge us. Her voice softened. Only he could hear now. True strength is in recognizing when someone deserves respect. She raised her hand. The chains fell from his wrists. Gasps erupted through the throne room. Vorthas stepped forward with horror. High Sovereign, what are you doing? I am making a choice. Linara turned to face her court. Her voice became thunder. This human killed 34 of our warriors, alone, wounded, without hope. He fought with more courage than any soldier I have seen in 4 centuries. She paused, let the words sink in. He is not our enemy. He is our equal, and I will not start a war over pride. She turned back to Ilas. Her silver eyes shimmered with something fragile, something real. You are free, Sergeant. Go home to your people. Ilas stared at her. His heart pounded. His mind raced. He should leave. He should run to that shuttle and never look back. He should forget this empress and her strange silver eyes. But his feet would not move. What about you? He asked quietly. Linara blinked, surprised. What do you mean? You saved me. You freed me. You risked your throne for a stranger. Ilas stepped closer, too close for protocol, too close for safety. Why? The court watched in stunned silence. Linara's mask cracked, just slightly, just for him. Because you showed me what I had forgotten, her voice was barely a whisper, that some things are worth more than power. Their eyes held, human and Arthi, soldier and empress, 2 souls who found each other across impossible distance. Ilas reached out, slowly, carefully. He took her hand. She did not pull away. The summit, he said, 30 days, I will be there. As what?
He smiled, the same smile he gave death itself, as whatever you need me to be. He released her hand, turned, walked toward the shuttle bay. At the door, he stopped, looked back one final time. Linara Vale stood alone in her throne room, silver eyes glowing, hand still raised where he had touched her. "Empress," he called out. "Yes? You are not what I expected." A small smile crossed her lips, the first real smile in centuries. "Neither are you, Sergeant." Ilas disappeared through the door, and Linara Vale, High Sovereign of the Arthi Empire, stood in the silence of her court, surrounded by advisors, surrounded by guards, surrounded by power. But for the first time in 400 years, she did not feel alone. Ilas boarded the human shuttle. His captain saluted with tears in his eyes. "Welcome home, Sergeant. The whole galaxy knows your name now." Ilas looked out the window. The Arthi flagship grew smaller, but somewhere on that ship, a silver-eyed empress was watching him leave. "It is not over," Ilas whispered to himself. He touched the window, as if reaching for something he left behind. "This is just the beginning."